All right, here we are, everyone. Welcome to Research and Ramblings, and thank you for joining us here Friday. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone's had a good week. We got quite a few people here already. Welcome. Mysterious, welcome. Good to see you. Jake, hi, man. Malango, good to see you. Sakura, Amafilda, welcome. Everyone's up in here tonight. It's all right. Good start. Got my coffee going. Still trying to figure out the lighting for the new shooting area, as y'all can tell. This camera just seems to pick up all the lights. Okay, I'll just call you Luna. It's a habit. I try to read the names and whatnot. So Jake, I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Bernaldus, welcome. Mystic Lavender, welcome. Andrew, good to see you. Peachy, we see you there. Hello, how are you doing tonight? So, this has been a very busy week for me. Any of y'all who are in the Discord, you know I've been AWOL almost all week. And it's just been nonstop. First off, we've been doing a lot of editing on the 102. And we've been trying to figure out the release dates, but we've not really been able to nail that down. Clearly, what I wanted ain't going to happen. But that's okay. Also, the amount of actual research I've had to dive into this week. I was doing a lot of work and runic research, did a lot of work with Hel and Odin. Actually ended up working with Azazel some this week also. And of course, I had a big, long sit down with the 9 rulers, which has kept me very, very busy. Not to mention just the general influx of work that I always get on this half of the year. That said, I did get to speak with Lilith on Samiel a bit more this week about the path working that for the Cliffoth. So that'll be probably taking place sooner than I thought. But it has been keeping me very, very busy. Also, well, as life gets back to normal, I guess you'd say, the noise is picking back up and everything. So I'm also having to work around more noise than I have been most of this year. But that's been fun. Potato Wolf, welcome back. How does one become a saint? One has to be actually made a saint and approved by the church, an official sainthood type thing. And I believe they have to perform at least 3 miracles in order to be even considered for it. It's either 2 or 3, but I'm wanting to say it's 3 miracles in their lifetime that they have to perform before they can even be considered for sainthood. But there's like a whole like criteria. That's the big criteria that the Catholic Church has for who is and who is not made a saint. So, at least by their standards. Beyond that, I guess you look into what do you view as a saint, and then that gets into muddier waters. Or more philosophical, because you could spread that definition as far as you want to at that point. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 3 miracles. So if you pull off 2, and most people never even pull off 1, but if you pull off 2, it's still short. So, seems like something else has happened this week that was I'm forgetting. Let's see. What the hell? Huh, nope. Okay. I did get a new coffee pot, so there's that. But most of my research right now has been gearing toward getting ready for that path working. I've been diving into more runic research as I'm preparing to record the runic videos that's going to be going up onto the channel and the attempts to do a full runic class that's available on the channel for free. Um, Drew's starting a list of miracles to perform. Well, I can give him a few I would appreciate him performing, but I don't know if it works that way necessarily. Um, where was I? Crap. Oh, so anyways, that's been going. And honestly, anytime I dive into runic work or meditation, it just eats my time up because I get lost in it. I really do. I just find it fascinating. So, but that has been my week in a nutshell. Though it does look like I said, I will be able to start the Clifothic pathworking up again here soon, which means I should be able to start sharing that with you all a bit more in detail coming up in the very near future. Sakura, yeah, you sure can. In fact, anytime you have questions, feel free to direct message them to me, and I'll answer them as best I can when I get to them. Because I do try to check my messages once or twice a day. So we can do that through text, and or we can schedule something when I actually have some free time to do a voice chat. Just get with me in the direct messages on Discord. Do I have okay? Insights on the different Futharks, elder and younger. Yes, actually, I do. Strength wise, they both channel the same runic energies. So strength wise, you're not going to find a differential. Um, However, the younger Futhark and the elder Futhark do come from two different points in the culture, and the younger Futhark even actually comes slightly outside that culture a little bit, even more. So it's a more simplified version of the runic writing system. But the same runic energies ultimately do move through them all. Though Odin says that the Elder Futhark is a more complete um, method of giving you more options to manipulate the energies when carving, writing, or inscribing. Um, but that's not to say that the younger Futhark is any way weaker because you can still manipulate those energies with fewer symbols. It's just at some point when you remove characters, it does start to become less customizable because you have fewer options. But there's always a give and take because too many options is bad, too few options could be bad. But the Futharks, due to the 18 and 24 divide, it doesn't really affect them one way or the other. It work with the one that calls to you best and you work with the best is the general census there. That said, however, the classes that I will be teaching are on the Elder Futhark because, again, they are the more complete, all 28 symbols, and I don't want to leave any of the symbols out. I hope that helps you out some there. Oh, secure. I appreciate it because I am busy. But like I said, if you just leave the message in my direct message box, I'll get to it when I can. So I do appreciate you thinking of me, though. I highly appreciate it. I do have people who get upset because either I miss their messages or I don't get to them quick enough for them. But I do my best. So. But no, that was a good question, Mysterious, about the different Futharks, the elder and the younger Futhark. Oh, got an itch here. Let's see what. Let's see, Mysterious. Okay, cool. Been working on learning the 33 Northumbrian runes. It works so much better for writing English. That would make sense. That would make sense. Many of the sounds and dialects in the Futhark just don't translate well to English. I have seen a few things that were altered to make English more functional with the Elder Futhark. But I never really use the alterations. I enjoy the challenge of using the Elder. I think that actually puts extra attention and therefore extra strength and energy into the working I'm doing. But that's a personal opinion only. And obviously learning the 33 there, that'd be a great use as well. Okay, so as I said earlier, we do not have a prediction for the Dragon Magic 102 class, but that's okay because I don't think I have anyone who's actually started the class that is even remotely ready for it. So, and that's good because I don't want to rush anybody. Take your time on the Dragon Magic 101 if you're already in that class and work through it nice and slow and make sure you got the materials done and done well and that you know these dragons really well. We are going to be starting to shoot the rune classes, I think next week actually, which is cool. I'm really looking forward to shooting those. I'm hyped about that. So, with that said, what are y'all's questions tonight? And if you haven't already, be sure you like the video. I got 15 people in here watching and only 4 likes. Make sure you like the video to help the channel out. It supports us a lot. Also, if the chat's getting busy and I don't see your question, you can always use the super chat to make sure it flashes it up on the screen. Or if you just want to drop a sticker or a donation to help support the channel and the work we do here, it's always much appreciated. Might be one of the slower nights for questions we've had. So, one question I've actually seen quite a bit, though. Pardon me. Is working with deities. And how do I make sure not to get in trouble when working with the deity? How do I know what would get me in trouble? Honestly, this is a big one that that's okay, Sakura. Not everybody. We don't have to have a bunch of questions every night. That's all good. When it comes to deities, the first thing you want to do is research the deity and their lore. Find what you can and build on that. However, let's say you, for whatever reason, maybe you don't have internet access, maybe you can't find a book on it, you have no information. You just know this entity's out there and you're wanting to try and contact them. Approach them with respect and approach them in a way that, show good manners and everything as you approach them. Don't act like an idiot, go in there cussing, don't, threaten them. Don't walk in there with your ego hanging out, as some would say. And you will be okay, because it's just like meeting a new person in real life. And you approach them respectfully. You can take the time to build the relationship, to get to know them and them to know you. And then you two can interact on that. But as long as you approach them respectfully, you will be okay. Mysterious, feel free to ask them. Tonight seems to be a slow night, so go right ahead. If you got questions, ask. I'll do my best to answer them. I've said before, I don't know everything, but I'll do my best to answer what I can. So, but yeah, when it comes to deities, just approach them respectfully. And it's always been my experience, even if they don't like you, if you approach them respectfully, it'll go well, and you two can just part and just not talk to each other again. But it's really rare that an entity tends not to just like someone for no reason. They usually have a reason, and they'll give it to you. All right, Mysterious says, so for your long-term prosperity spell, am I correct that you don't pay any attention to the moon phases, retrograde planets, planetary days and hours, etc.? You simply perform the spell at any time. Yes, you are actually correct. In fact, I rarely do magic that concerns moon phases, planetary times, hours, or any of that. I was trained that as a mage and a magician, you are controlling the energies in your life, and therefore, if you're controlling those, the time of day doesn't matter. You're the one in charge of it. And it is true. You could add those things to the spell if you wanted to. Myself, I ain't got time for that. If I need to do a spell, I'm going to do the spell. I ain't going to wait around a month and do it. I'm just going to do it. And that's one of the things that's really helped me in my practice is when I stopped trying to time things. Which this is something me and other magicians have talked about, because I understand the power behind timing them. So the fact that my results went up was a fascinating thing to all of us. And the biggest kicker that we found is my focus is where it should be, and those other things are distracting me, and that's kind of helping me in my progression there. But when I do use them, as long as they're not a distraction, they do add to it. But for that prosperity spell, no. I always do that one just whenever I need to do it or when I got it on the schedule. So back when I was doing that, because we were in deep, I had that set to do every Monday, actually. And I was doing that every Monday. And it was at different times of the day. I was wanting to say I wanted to do it at noon every day. That was the plan in my head. But I didn't. I did not do it at noon because work and life happens. So whenever I got the time is when I'd go to the ritual room or workspace and I'd do the spell. And that's one thing that's followed me throughout my magic. I do the spell when I need it and when I have the time to do it. And that's one reason I don't work with moon phases and stuff as much, is I ain't got the time to wait on them. But you can do it. If you can time it and you have that ability, you can time it and add those things to it, definitely. Johnny, welcome. Good to see you, man. Good to have you. No problem. No problem. You got to understand, certain traditions, and it is a tradition, uses those and tells you by that tradition it's required. But it's that tradition that's doing it. You can do magic without those things. You really can. So it just, And that's one of the things I love is I love to study all the different methods and ways, because if anyone says this is the only way you can do it, that is an ego talking strictly. And that's another reason I always say I'm results based, because if the magic is yielding the results I'm looking for, I'm good to go. That's what I consider working magic. Is it actually yielding the results that I'm setting out to manifest? If the answer is yes, then it's a working functional spell or method. And once it's working, the only question in my head later would be, can I improve upon it? Can I add to it and make it better? And I do often experiment with functional spells that I have, ones that I rely on, to see if I can actually fine tune them and make them better. But that's the reason I always say any spell that I count as functional for my personal practice has to have 85% or better manifestation results, or I don't consider it a functional working spell. But that is a great question. I appreciate that one, Mysterious. All right. Any other questions? We got 17 people in here now. That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, I'm also supposed to remind you all, we do still have the 5K challenge going till, again, November 1st. So technically Halloween night at midnight. If we get 5,000 subs by then, my wife gets to pick out any costume, any outfit, any makeup, and I have to do a live stream in it, as long as the costume is YouTube friendly. Malangle, sub it up. Appreciate that, Malangle. Mysterious, that's actually an interesting question. I've never actually thought about it. But Mysterious asked, do I think where was it? The system of dragon magic that I teach and utilize is a reconstruction of an ancient magical system that existed in a similar form at one time. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. And one reason I say that is, obviously everything I've learned straight from the dragons when it comes to dragon magic. So what I'm teaching is what they taught me, and now they're telling me to share. As to, is it an ancient reconstructed system? I'm not 100% sure. I've heard them talk many times that they did work and teach humans in different things in different ways before. That said, I've often wondered if they've made changes to how they teach us due to the fact that times have changed. And as times change, methods change. But it's not something I've ever actually sat down and talked to them about in detail. But so I would say some parts of it are them trying to bring that knowledge back. But at the same time, I think some of it might also be updated for the more modern times. Like I said, where I am very results based. That's always been my biggest focus on the research. And when they give me something, I test it. I don't just take their words on it. Well, for me, it's from scratch because I don't even know if I get credit for creating anything here, because I'm just doing what I'm told and learning these rituals and these methods, testing them out, make sure they work, they function. And then when I get the okay to share them, I do share them. So I don't know if I'd count it as a reconstruction or not. I'll have to think on that because, yeah. Because there's actually rituals that they have taught me that will be in like the 104 class. They've made it very clear those have never been taught before. So that's all new. That wouldn't be recreation at all. But as far as the entirety of it, I don't know. I really don't. I'd have to think on that one, Mysterious. I mean, I'm not the first bloke to work with dragons, obviously, and I won't be the last. Um, and even the dragons will tell you that there's multiple pathways to multiple destinations, and all this stuff. So there's all that's still there. Mystic asks, when it comes to runes, how are ways to learn runes? Like for me, I'm visually learning, so reading a book on runes is harder for me to understand. Um, Mystic, actually, one of the things I do, which I'll go in detail during the rune class when I get it filmed, but I do a rune meditation. And in this meditation, not only do I have the rune physically in front of me, if at all possible, I try to make sure it's either engraved so I can actually feel the indention, or here's a handy trick. I actually make sure it's raised. And for a raised rune, if I can't do anything else, I will actually do the rune in hot glue, because that gives you a raised surface that you can feel. And then you can, of course, paint the rune also. And I only use these for meditations. I don't use these for my rune set. But it gives you the visual. It gives you something tactile that you can hold, and you can actually feel the indentions and the impressions of it. And then I'm also visualizing it in my mind as I do the rune meditation. And when you first start out, one of the things I have my students do is start with like 3 key words of that rune, which is what we'll be doing in this class. Is I'll be starting you with 3 key words. But once you get those key words and you get the main meanings of it, then you move on. I also do recommend actually writing out the rune itself. There's a lot of power when it comes to actually repetitively writing something and absorbing the information. So for Fehu, I would actually write out the rune, write out its name, write out its 3 key words, and I'd either, if you're interested in its number, which I usually recommend, I'd put the number there as well as its alphabetical letter representation. All these add together, and I do recommend usually focusing on a grouping of runes or a single rune, and it depends, because I start them with groupings. I start them working with each individually, but eventually for deeper diving, I actually do a working where you're working with each individual rune. So you're path working with each rune also. So yeah, when I get my students into runes, we go deep, 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 deep. In fact, just the final single rune meditation thing could take you near 9 months to finish the way I do it. That's why we also have the quicker intro. I hope that helps answer your question, though. Okay, Magic Malango asks tips on starting contact with ancestors. Well, first off, if you have an ancestor that you're aware of, setting a space aside for them is always helpful. But if you can have their name and an image or an object or even their favorite food or beverage, or I don't know, say they like butterflies, you have a picture of a butterfly there. You set the space in some way that is reminiscent of them. It focuses on them. And then you can actually use their name as the mantra and call to them over and over and get them to come to you. So if you're wanting direct contact with them, that's the easiest way to do it. Your other option is to look for an entity that deals with spirits that have passed on or ancestors and reach out to them. And then, work with them in order to connect with your ancestors via that method. Another great way is to go check out the hailing rite that we've got on this channel. It's a larger rite. In there's actually one line that says "Hail to the ancestors." You can actually take all the rest of the hailing rite out limit it down to that one thing, though I'd recommend adding 2 or 3 lines additional to that. Um, and adding in the names of your ancestors. So hail to grandma, hail to grandpa, hail to great grandma. Obviously inserting their names, and then finish with hail to the ancestors, and then do the closing, because this gives you a quick and easy write where you're honoring them, even if you don't have a specific question at this time, and it starts to build that energetic connection so that when you do reach out to them to talk to them, it's a lot easier. I hope that helps, because that's a big category that I had to sum up, but I hope that helps. Druids did talk about the dragon or dragons from time to time, but I'm unsure of just how deep that went. In fact, no one's really sure. I know a lot of druids who aren't even sure, and that's something we've discussed from time to time. So I would say the possibility's there, but I can't say for sure. But definitely the possibility of a pre-Christian society similar to the druids would have had contact with the dragons at the very least at some point, for sure. As to what was taught, how it was taught, I don't know. Most of the druidic practices surrounding dragons do differ pretty drastically from what I'm being taught. At least the ones I've encountered. And I'm always on the lookout, and I'm always talking to different practitioners who work with dragons and different things to try and get an idea on the differentials and the why. Because some practices actually use dragons as a metaphor, not in the literal. So there are actually some druidic groups that the dragon is more metaphorical and less literal. That's not to say all of them. So it does get sketchy when you're doing your research there. It's fascinating to do the research, but that's another reason why myself and other magicians try to say don't get lost in the past, because you spend so much time looking backwards, you don't make any progress in the present. And if you're making progress in the present and you're getting your life in order and you're seeing those results, it is good to look back. It's good to research. It's good to learn, but you don't want to get lost back there. And way too many people do get lost back there. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cultures that did not write things down. I mean, Norse mythology is a perfect example. When it comes to Norse magic, the entire thing is reconstruction. We really only have two really good sources, and that's the Poetic Eddas, the Havamal, and some people would say the Volspa, but I'm pretty sure that's included in the Poetic Eddas. And we do have the Prose Eddas, but that is heavy, heavy, heavy Christian influence. So most people don't even count it, but we do still have that. And nowhere in it does it talk about the actual practice of any of the rituals. There's no magic. In fact, the runes and the way we work with runes isn't mentioned at all. So everything is reconstruction there, and you do kind of have to go and work with these entities and test out the systems that are out there and get those results, because we don't have it. It wasn't recorded. And that's one of the reasons the dragons do really push those 3 arcane pillars that I did a video on. The divination, evocation, and invocation, and journey work, and that those pillars are built on a foundation of meditation and trance. Because if you get a solid working foundation of those things, really, as a magician and a practitioner, you can go as far as you want, and you don't need a book. Okay, Mathilda or Luna asks, when do we feel that we're going from imagination to visualization? What are some of the signs that we can tell, okay, I'm doing it? And oh, this is a tricky one. This is really a tricky one, Luna. Because honestly, it's when you start getting results, when it starts panning out, you're starting to get the manifestations you're seeking. Because honestly, visualization could honestly be rephrased as magical imagination. And it does really kind of work that way. If you can visualize it, if you can imagine it, you can manifest it. And just by making that slight tweak to the terminology, it begins to make a lot more sense. Your imagination is the very spark of creation of magic. So when you start to visualize or imagine, you are visualizing. If you're imagining it, you are visualizing it. And you're already tapping into those arcane senses. Now you just need to plug them into manifestation and results. That's one of the reasons kids are so really good at magic when they're young. Their imagination hasn't been dulled and they trust it. And your imagination is visualization, and it is also the seed of creation. So, yeah, if you can imagine it, you can manifest it in some manner. And then the rest of it is literally about putting those pieces together to bring that manifestation outward. I hope that makes some sense. Okay, Johnny asks, what do I know about the Order of the Golden Dawn? Not a lot. I'm not stupid or ignorant on the subject. I do know several Golden Dawn members. Um, I've been trained in ceremonial magic, not necessarily, I won't say specifically Golden Dawn. Um, I've worked through many of their systems and stuff, but I'm not initiated or any of that stuff, and I'm not going to claim to be. And I suspect there's plenty of stuff that's behind that door. Um, all the Golden Dawn members that I know of personally who are Golden Dawn members, they're pretty good magicians. And honestly, anytime I get a chance to sit down and have a cup of coffee or a beer with them, we have some wonderful conversations. Because yes, they're more ritualistic style practice, and they do a lot of multiple workings daily, and they see me accomplishing similar things without the same systematic ritualized approaches. And we've actually swapped off before, where I was doing a very repetitive ritualized daily practice and they were trying to do it more my style, where it's as needed, when needed, how needed. And we both got results. We did. The irony was they enjoy the daily thing, and they didn't enjoy the way I do it. And I didn't really enjoy the required daily routine of the Golden Dawn, or the methods they were using, at least, that I was getting to test with that particular experiment. But it reminded me a lot of how I do my daily rituals and my daily meditations, though not as elaborate. And I think there is something to be said for a daily scheduled process. There's a lot to be said for it in your progression in magic. But again, not initiated, and I'm not sure I'm qualified to really dive too deep on that subject, if at all, to be honest with you. To all my Golden Dawn friends out there, keep doing the good magic you be doing. And I have been asked, if I got the chance, would I join? I don't know. Probably not. Honestly, probably not. I don't do well with authority. I don't. I know that's. I'm very much, you do you, I do me. and don't be telling me what to do. Don't get in my face. So if I, yeah, it, most of what I've heard about these lodges, I'm not sure I'd vibe well. And honestly, I would not join more for them than me because I don't want to be the one that disrupts their progression, if that makes sense. I don't want to be the fly in the ointment because if I'm the problem, I'm the problem. Clearly, coming in, I know I'm the problem. I wouldn't want to be the one to monkey wrench their system because their system works and it functions as long as you ain't got some jerk like me messing up the works. Mystic, good news is the runic meditations I use will be on this channel soon. So yeah, and I'm going to attempt to do my entire runic class in a full playlist here on the channel for free. It's going to be one of those we're going to do an experiment with to see how well we can do it without doing the normal classes because it's a nice little niche area that's perfect for that test. And I am trying to get it to get started quick. So hopefully we'll start seeing that playlist in September or October. All right, Jake asked, which dragon is the more easy to start practicing with? Because I heard that they are hard to approach depending on which one you work with. And Jake, that is true. They can be really hard to work with. Generally speaking, the first dragon you want to try and contact is your guardian and then your co-magician. Because these are two dragons that'll be with you throughout your life and your career, and they are the easiest to approach. And here's the big one. They make the other dragons easier to approach. But let's, even without them or once you get them, when you look at the 9 rulers, the easiest one to approach, this can be kind of an opinion because it does based on personality. But by and large, most people will find the ruler of Earth, Terrafauna, to be far easier to approach because she has that patience, that understanding. She can help you build that foundation up. And she can really help you through a lot of the stuff and really get you ready to start working with the others. If not Terrafauna, I would say the ruler of air, Zephyrsil, because he's going to come at things far more logical. And again, he's going to give you a good logical foundation to proceed on. Both of the other 2 lower rulers, the water ruler, Coralegra, and the fire ruler, Ingus Salor, massively difficult because they're going to hit you hard in the emotional areas and in areas that most people have trouble controlling. So they are the harder of those 4 to approach. All of the higher rulers are going to be far more complicated than the first 4 combined. So you want to start with those 4, but out of those first 4, Earth and air is definitely the easier to approach. Let's see here. We got questions coming in. I'm actually starting to get behind here, people. All right, let's see. Yep, Mysterious says imagination with a ton of intent and power behind it. Exactly. That's what magic is. It is actually taking that imagination and creating it. We are actually working as creators here. Ronaldo says he wouldn't do well with the authoritative structure either. See, and that's a lot of things. When you're looking at your path, you'll notice I always tell people it's their path. And one of the things I teach is I teach what I refer to as the science of magic, the framework, the nuts and bolts. So you can take that and find your path and your methods and make it as flamboyant, as detailed, as ritualistic, or as simple as you want. And find out what works for you so that you're getting those manifestations, so you're getting those results to live the life you want to live. Um, there is no one single path of magic. Magic is not that narrow-minded. That's another reason I put the focus on the results, because at the end of the day, how do I know my magic's working? Did you get the result you was looking for? Yes or no? Now, if you're keeping your journal, which I've said is the most important magical tool a practitioner can keep, and you start doing a spell, and let's say you did the spell 10 times, and 6 times you manifested the result you was after. Eventually, you got to throw coincidence out the window and just admit to yourself you're making it happen. And that's why magic is a lifelong process, and it is repetitive. If you think you're going to come into magic, you're going to do one spell, you're going to get a result, you're just going to be a believer, I've never actually seen that happen. I mean, I'm still skeptical. The dragons will literally hand me a spell or ritual. I write it down, but it doesn't go in my book. It goes into the testing folder. And until it's tested, I'm skeptical. Jake, you're welcome, man. Happy to help and answer as best I can. I do, for these orders, these groups, and these traditions, I try to be respectful of them. I'm not a fan of gatekeeping, of hiding all knowledge, but a tradition's a tradition, and you shouldn't claim that tradition if you're not actually brought into it. There's a difference there. And if I need to explain that, just let me know and I'll explain that. Okay, Mysterious asks, what are a few good power sources for servitors? What do you think about feeding them with your own breath? Okay, so great question, Mysterious. Absolutely great. Now, feeding them with your own breath, that can work. Much like if you look into the long-term prosperity spell, you breathe into the candle to empower it, to give energy to the candle when you blow it out, so that you're empowering that talisman, because the candle will work as a talisman. So you got the spell that's out there, as well as the talisman that remains until you come back to relight it to do the spell again. So your talisman's constantly getting stronger, and you're continually doing the spell repetitively over and over. So doing that can work. However, if you're one of these people who uses lots of servitors and you're having to feed them all with your breath, that's going to leave you drained and short and unable to do what you need to do. So it's functional, it works, but I wouldn't use it to keep active. 2, 4 at the max would be my opinion on that, as a rule of thumb. Now, you do have these people who are just crazy high energy levels. Honestly, that'd probably help mellow them out, so that might be a good idea, and they might be able to get 6 or 8 out of it. So it is viable. That said, me personally, I was reading a book, and I actually laughed when I first read it. They said power them with gratitude, which I was like, say what? But you empower them with the emotion and the joy and the gratitude of the manifestation or them doing their job, because emotions generate energy around you. They don't necessarily pull from your energy. And that way you're constantly actually pouring in the emotion and the gratitude and the joy of them having done their job, which also helps manifest it faster as well. And it keeps you from being drained. I've run some tests on this. I have to say it's actually pretty handy. And in most cases, I would say 90% of the time, I've had no issues using that method. So yeah, that is definitely a great way to go, and it does bypass the leaving you drained. Other options would be you could set them to draw in energy from, say, the sun or even the night. So basically, every day as the cycles are turning, they're getting a little bit of energy and getting fed. Um, those are very viable options. I would definitely have them do their feeding in the time they're going to be most active. So take that in consideration when creating the servitor. Uh, yeah, those actually are my go-tos, really. I mean, I've heard a lot of other things, but I don't find them as efficient or as functional. So I hope that helps. But yeah, the breath one, it is viable. It is viable. Just be mindful of your own energy levels when you do that one. Mystic Lavender White Wolf asks, okay, I get this confused. Are runes and sigils similar? Uh, they're similar in the fact that they are shapes or symbols that have a representation. That said, when most people speak of runes, they're talking about a form of alphabet. More specifically, they're usually talking in modern day when we use the word runes, we're talking about Norse runes or the Elder Futhark and the Younger Futhark, which both are alphabets. And those alphabets do have certain energy patterns and abilities and powers that have been associated with them to some extent. Though historically, we don't know which came first, the energy or the alphabet. Um, but yeah, in that context, most modern people, when they say runes, they're talking about an alphabet of some sort, whereas a sigil is a more abstract symbol to represent a larger thing, not necessarily an alphabet, like an entire person or concept or something, or even an entire entity. That's the general summarization of it in the modern terminologies. I hope that helps. Take care, Johnny. It's good to have you, man. And Bernaldus just randomly said Merlango. Okay. Okay. We are having steak and potatoes tonight, and the potatoes are already cooking, and they are smelling delicious. So, yeah. Also, getting warm in here. So, let's see what we got here. Animal Man. Tips for astral projection. All right. Animal Man asks, do I have any tips for astral projection? Okay. First off, if you haven't already, pop over and check out the video Easy Astral Projection on the channel. I cover quite a bit there in the techniques. Now, first off, when it comes to astral projection, most people do astral project before they really get around to it and before they actually think they're doing it because they're looking for something bigger. They're looking for something like more flamboyant. Most astral projection, especially when you start doing it, it's actually going to play more like a movie in your head than an external experience when you first start out. And the better you get at it, the better your arcane senses get, the more tangible it's going to come to the point where you feel you're there and it's not just that scenes playing out in your head. But to some extent, astral projection will always have a detached feel to it. That's the reason you eventually move over to soul travel. But the biggest tip is just let go of the doubt and just roll with the process, and you'll be amazed at how quick you start getting results. I believe it was in the Easy Astral Projection video where I talk about, me projecting outside the house and seeing that truck and making notes of it and then going out and actually checking those. Um, Even if you're projecting in the physical realm, you're still astral projecting. So, yeah, when you first start astral projecting, if you're doubting it, start projecting in areas where you can go check what you saw. That way, you can get verifiable results for your projections. That's really the best way to guarantee to overcome that doubt. And actually, I require it of all my students when I'm working with them one on one. And I actually do make them go check things. Mysterious. Yeah, you could actually tie them into planetary currents that correspond with their purposes. You really could. That's actually an ideal, and that is actually I've done that a few times, depending on the servitor I'm creating. So yeah, planets is definitely a doable energy source. Because you got to understand those planetary energies, we call them planetary, but it's a current that's much larger than the planet itself. That's the reason you can find these energy currents in other planes, not just the physical plane. So that is very easily a good current of energy to get the servitor to feed off of. Yeah, mysterious. If your energy levels are already that low, I would not use breath just for health concerns. Anytime, any magic that deals with me putting my energy into it without using outside energy, if I'm sick, I don't do it. But I do try to use outside energy for most of my magic anymore because I do so much magic in one day, I would be passing out using my energy. You can use the Dragon's Blood ink for the dragon's rituals. Honestly, you don't have to. I won't lie. I don't think I've used Dragon's Blood ink in 8 years. Most of my rituals are written out in Sharpie because I like the thick lines so that it's easy to read in low light. Because most of my working is done in a room with no light other than by candle. So unless it's a sunny day and I'm outside, I have to make sure I can read it in low light. Um, and if you saw my channel early on, I used to wear glasses. I did have the eye surgery, so but it's still not 2020. But yeah, you want to make sure that it's legible. But you can use the Dragon's Blood ink. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's not a necessity. It does add an extra layer to it, and adding those layers, as long as it's not distracting from your focus, is a good thing. Oh, good, Mystic. I'm so glad that made sense to you. Because sometimes what I'm thinking in my head makes sense to me, and I'm always afraid when it comes out my mouth, the words, especially when we're talking runes and sigils, that it's not making as much sense to people listening. So I'm really glad that did. Now, Bernaldus, now you talking. Homemade tacos, man. That's some good stuff right there. I mean, I won't trade it for my ribeye. I won't. I got the big, thick cut ribeyes tonight. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, we are our own worst enemy when it comes to stuff like that because you're either expecting something so much more flashy and almost movie like that when you're starting to get your first results, you don't believe it and you end up getting in your own way. But the second you step out of your way and you just go with the flow, it's amazing how fast you start manifesting results. And that's one reason I did start my students in projecting to a physical place where they could check it. They could physically check and see if what they saw was accurate, which is what my teacher did with me. Uh, in my experience, Mysterious asked, would it be harder to link a servitor with a distant power source like Pluto? And in my experience, no. If you can reach up and you can grab that energy current and pull it to you, which most practitioners can do pretty easily, then you can link it to the servitor. One of the beautiful things about magic and the way the energy currents interact, you're not limited by distance. That's the reason you can do a spell on one place in the world and create an effect in another place. The difference is really in your mind. So if the distance complicates your thinking, then it will complicate it. But if you realize that that distance doesn't really exist energetically, then you can manifest that pretty easily and grab that energy current real quick. All right, Rouse asks, hey man, what are you talking about today? Well, earlier was going over the crazy week I had. No specific singular topic, research and ramblings. We usually just ramble. I cover what I've been researching and, well, my successes and or failures through the week, and then I take questions. Tonight we've just been getting a lot of excellent questions in here, Roust. We did cover, been doing some deep diving on the runes and working with Lilith and Samiel a bit, getting ready to restart that path working for the cliff off. And also looking to get filming a rune class. Jake, my man, you have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Oh, coffee's good, people. I don't know what I'd do without coffee. All right. So, real quick, we're up to 14 likes, 19 people in here. If you haven't liked the feed, be sure to like it. And if by some weird chance you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe. We release a new video every Tuesday. We do live streams on Friday and on Sunday. Also, we're at an hour here, so if you have any last minute questions or whatnot, be typing those out so I can cover those. We'll make sure to get as many in as we can. Let's see. Do remember we got the 5K challenge, which basically, if we get this channel to 5,000 subs by the end of October, actually the morning of November 1st, I will have to do a live stream in costume, a costume my wife picks out, with makeup my wife picks out. Perhaps a wig, which I realize now is the downside of shaving my head, because wigs apparently are easier to put on bald people. And I don't really get many choices in this. She gets to do whatever she wants to embarrass the tar out of me in the live stream. The only stipulation was it has to be appropriate for YouTube. So help us hit the 5K. I know Malongo, Born, and Peachy, they're all just dying to see what my wife has planned, which she has been plotting and planning against me forever. Oh, Roust, I do not believe banana hammocks are YouTube appropriate or okay. I mean, I might have to actually look into the rules a little bit, but I'm hoping that's not. God help me if it is. And hopefully my wife will have some pity or mercy. She did kindly joke a Frankfurter look, which I love Rocky Horror. I love the movie. I just don't know if I can pull that off, but if that's what she picks, then we'll have to do it. And Peachy did say that I have to actually stand up and everything, so y'all see the full deal. So, okay, that'll be done. I'll do my little turn on the catwalk. But we have to hit the 5K first. And you all are doing great on getting those numbers up. I think we're over 2,700 now. I can't remember the exact number last time I looked. But we still got a long way to go. But honestly, the way the numbers are building, you guys got me worried. And now that you said banana hammock, and I'm going to have to go look at the rules and make sure that can't happen because, oh, God, help me. I really don't want to wear that. Hopefully my wife will take pity on me. Oh, that's right. Also, if we hit the 5K, there are going to be 4 Dragon Magic classes drawn and given away to viewers who have not yet purchased the Dragon Magic 101 class. This is actually something that the admin and a few members of the Discord are doing. We got 4 members of the Discord that are offering to purchase and donate 4 Dragon Magic 101 classes when we hit the 5K by the end of October, because they keep telling me we're hitting it. It's not an option. So, yes. And to all those donating the classes, thank you very much. That is amazing. You all are awesome. Thank you for your support of the work. Let's see here what we get. Please let it be Ariel. Like the Little Mermaid? Oh, man. Oh, God. I don't know. That'd be a harsh cost. Luckily, I'm a parrot head, so I might be able to swing that one. Okay, let's see here. Bernoldus asks, when empowering the dragon staff wand or implement, does the physical item need to be complete when starting, or could it be started and worked on whilst the enchantment is... Oh, okay. So, no, it does not need to be complete. In fact, hold on. Yeah, here we go. So, my staff here, Peachy, don't worry, I won't knock it on the floor or anything. I know you. This has been altered several times since I actually did the creation ritual. What you want is you want the bulk item. So in the case of a staff, you want the wood, you want the item. Or let's say you're using a steel pole for your staff, you want the steel pole. Now, once you actually craft it, empower it, and charge it using the ritual at the end of the Dragon Magic 101 class, you can still make alterations to it. For example, this one here actually was much longer, and I had to cut it down. I did. I also put a stain on it at one point, which the staff decided it didn't want to keep all the stain, and that's how we ended up getting this kind of really cool pattern thing happening here. I've also added additional runes and stuff to it since its original creation. Your item, your tool will likely grow with you as you practice, and alterations will come. So if you have a crafting plan and you want to start empowering it before you finish the crafting, that's perfectly fine. Absolutely, totally. I hope that answers your question, Barnaldus. Oh, I am absolutely certain Cora Allegra would get an absolute hoot out of me dressed like a mermaid. I'm pretty sure everyone in this chat would if they don't go blind. Honestly, different traditions will say different on this. So it's the elemental representation. However, in Dragon Magic, elemental representation is kind of tossed out the window. So the real difference is the size, and that's really it. That's why when it comes to Dragon Magic, dragons like staffs, but they like the aesthetic, and they'll admit it. They like the aesthetic. It's got that old look to it, and it's sturdy. But you can really pick anything. Like, that's one reason a cane is an option, and so is a wand. Those are your three main options. And honestly, it comes down to size. It really does. A lot of people do like the wand because it's much more transportable. It's compact. It's easier to work with. Some people enjoy a cane because it kind of gives you that midpoint between the two. I do like the staff because I want something that's heavy and I can really feel it with the way I work. That said, though, there is a ritual in the class that allows you to link them. So if you want one of each, you can do it. And you can even get creative. I actually know a young lady, her Dragon Magic tool is this ornate bracelet with this chain thing that goes around her hand, and it's comes up here and even has a few dragon claws on it. I'd be afraid I'd break something like that and that much energy invested, but yeah, I'd be too paranoid to use something that intricate. But she did, and it's been working for her for some years now. So as far as the difference between a wand and staff, outside of what a tradition would use and their viewpoints, it really is the size of the item itself. Now, once you get into the traditions, like the Golden Dawn question we had earlier, it's elemental representation in many cases. Some people associate the staff with spirit. The wand, I believe, is fire, and the dagger is air. Though some people switch the wand and the dagger. So the dagger ends up fire and the wand ends up air. And of course, the chalice is usually water, which makes sense. And then in some traditions, both the wand and the staff are the same element. But in dragon magic, the tool's the tool. It's just a tool. I hope that answers your question, Animal Man. And I didn't get too confusing. Mystic Lavender White Wolf asks, what are stones, crystals that would work well with creating a dragon wand? Okay. Now, this is an interesting question because the first go-to is, it really depends on how you want to go with this, because since the tool's going to be used with all the elements, I would personally recommend a stone or crystal that doesn't really have a specific resonance on something that's very flexible. So I really enjoy stuff like crystal quartz for this. Also, obsidian or onyx are also good options for this. Clear quartz and river quartz were always my favorite, hands down, for all-purpose stones. If you're only going to put one like on the cap. Now, that said, if the stone is more to represent you than the dragons themselves, pick the stone that represents you, because it is your tool that you're working with these entities with. If it's to represent the rulers and you don't want to go with the singular neutral stone, then you're going to need one stone for every ruler in that. But there is no really one go-to. You just kind of got to figure that out. And when working with dragons, they actually focus more on the color than the stone. So it's kind of funny because people go to looking up stones and trying to find out what stone fits what ruler. If you just look at the color, you're usually set and you'll just ride that through. Dragons don't get very picky at all. They oversimplify things, which that might be why I like them sometimes. But then again, as much as they can simplify, like picking out a stone, when you start working with them and teaching, oh dear God, they can overcomplicate things. So they make up the difference later. All about that balance. I hope that answers your question, though. Arnold does. Oh, it absolutely does. Oh, hold on. Oh, cool, Bernaldus. I'm glad that makes sense and was helpful. See, it sounds like you kind of think right along the lines there with the dragons there, Luna. So, yeah. So, I mean, if it's more, like I said, if it's more about the stone that resonates with you, I'd put one of those or even both on the on your tool that you're constructing. So, yeah. Honestly, amethyst is a good choice just because of its ability to help you with psychic work and journey work and the like anyway. But clear quartz is always my go-to for stuff like that. So, great questions, y'all. Absolutely great. All right, people, I am going to hop off here because I still have to fire up a grill, and it's actually gotten dark, which I love grilling after dark. I don't know about you all, but I just love the way the coals work in the dark. It's just freaking awesome. I'm going to have some dinner, treat the wife to a good meal. Who knows? I might even relax a little tonight. Maybe. We'll see. But you all have a wonderful evening. Stay caffeinated and keep your research going. Don't be afraid to try new things, and don't be afraid to question the status quo. Remember, it is your path. It is your practice. If you're getting the results that you're seeking, you're good to go. Too many people get caught up on the right way, the wrong way, or this person does it this way. Honestly, if you're getting the results you want, keep on doing it. Keep on living your best life. Keep manifesting the life you want and help yourself to build up to your goals. And if you've got your goals, set some new ones. Keep on moving. Always keep that journey going. All right, everyone. Till Sunday, I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystics, Research and Ramblings. I'll see you Sunday. Bye-bye.